So welcome to another episode of Diaries of a Life Coach podcast. My name is Larissa Dalton and I am your host. I'm so excited to have a coach guest here today, Lana Batishev. She is a health and wellness coach and she also mentors many coaches. So with this, I'm going to have Lana introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her journey as a coach and what led her on this path.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I'm so honored and excited. And I think it's just, there's so much about my journey because I've been coaching for quite a bit, nearly 14 years at this point. And for me, my journey started in the ICU. So I'm a former critical care nurse and just kind of watched our patients and people coming to us and the way we were dealing with that just sat really wrong with me in my gut and my soul. It was like, we are not really helping these people. We're patching them up and shipping them out. There's got to be a different way. And I just was blessed enough to come across a physician who was launching a coaching company and ended up partnering with him. And that's where my journey began. So, we started coaching before it was a thing. I mean, 14 years ago is like 200 years in today's years. It's been quite a journey. And for me, I started not knowing anything. Larissa, I don't know if you can relate, but I didn't even speak English very well. So I still have a bit of an accent that pops out now, but I was just really quite terrified of people in general, more of a shy person, really did not have any business experience very much at all. Didn't know how to put myself out there or market myself. I just knew I had a big heart to serve. And what I saw happening in the world was not acceptable. I knew there had to be a different way. So that's where my journey began. And since then, my husband and I and our team, we've impacted over, probably close to 30,000 lives at this point.
That's incredible. Oh my God.
Yes.
And I'm like this. Yeah.
Yes. So it's just mind blowing for me that this young 23-year-old immigrant woman who didn't really know anything other than just had a big heart for people, that something like this could happen, right? So, but I mean, that's just to me, when I look at it now, my vision is so much bigger. That all of that is just history. The only reason why I even bring this up is because some of you might be listening and thinking, I want to get into health coaching, business coaching, life coaching. Like, is there even an opportunity there? And I'm like, you have no idea. I think we have, in a rapidly changing world, we have more than need for coaches. I personally like to have a coach for everything.
Right.
I love the concept of coaching and what it actually does and how it's different from all these other types of therapies and mentorships. Like, coaching is very specific. And so, absolutely.
So in addition to your big heart, right, you had to have other, I don't want to say skill sets, but like other characteristics that enable you to become a coach. Can you pinpoint maybe a few that you felt were instrumental for you?
A big capacity for failure. Right? So I have to say, like, I failed a ton. It's ridiculous how many things I've done. And I just tell when I work with coaches now, I'm like, failure has been awesome. Did you fail today? If you're not failing, you're not on the edge of your capabilities. So I have this ability that I could just withstand it and regroup and get going again. And part of that is just, I do have quite persistent personality and driven. I would say just the drive to see things happen in my own world. Like, I come from a very poor background, and not because we were poor. I think our family's mindset is really kind of wealth and abundance oriented, but just because we were new immigrants in this country and had to start from scratch. And for me, that gut instinct was, we can do anything in this country. Why would I settle for anything less than what I could possibly do? So that was the driving factor. So the drive, I think, and then that just ability to withstand getting out there and getting rejected, getting disqualified, getting questioned, getting people to go, this is not even a thing. Go, why are you going to give up your nursing? Is this crazy? That kind of stuff, that kind of crabs, out of a bucket. I don't know if you kind of heard about that story of, other crabs pull down. Yeah. So withstanding that initially, I think that ability to just kind of say, like I totally failed. But I'm going to get back up and get going again. And some of it was just, I had a close circle of really supportive people who loved me, even if I became homeless. So that's a huge benefit, right? So I think that's a huge factor, is having your support community
for sure. But I just want to take a minute here to recognize that we are both like two immigrant women.
Yeah.
I came here in my teens. I don't know how old you were when you came to this.
Yeah. I was 9, but my family was like very much anti-integration.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I was 10. Yeah. And actually, when I wrote my story on my website, that's one thing that I recognized, that it was, integration into new community. We were kind of sheltered. We kind of stayed more in the Slavic community and kind of with our own. And it was hard, especially like middle school, high school. It was very difficult to integrate.
Right?
So to be able to stand out from these crowds, from this, big community. I can only imagine. Right now, I feel like it's more accepted, but back then, that was a tremendous step that you took. So kudos to you, or bravo.
Thank you. I'm just excited you're getting on this path of coaching and like life coaching. Most people, I laugh because my husband and I, our livelihood is through our coaching business, and we live a fantastic life. Super grateful to God for it, but people still wonder if it's a real thing. Like it's about as real as you can get. So I love that you're on this path.
Yeah.
Another Slavic first generation immigrant woman, because I think that identity shift that had to take place. I think you and I talked a little bit about that. I'm sure for you, that was probably huge as well, to really step out, let your voice be heard, being able to make your own way.
Absolutely.
It's not nothing. Yeah.
That's definitely something. So you've been coach for over 13 years now.
Yeah, for almost 14 years. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what role health and wellness plays in a person's life, especially somebody who is starting to build a business. Does that have any impact on the performance, on the outcomes?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So I think most of us cannot create at the capacity that we can if we do not take care of our physical bodies. Our minds, and all where, where the place where we're housed, where our spirits and souls live, and I think everything speaks. So I think for me, breakthrough in other areas of my life, financially, with my business, comes through structure. As much as I hate it, right? I'm really like naturally like kind of maybe not as rebellious as I used to be, but like my personality is like, don't put me in a box, let me do it my way. But I found for me, freedom comes through structure. So willfully submitting myself and saying, I'm going to get my exercise. I'm going to get my sleep, even though I want to stay up till 2 a.m. and chit chat with my husband all night long. But 7 a.m. I still have to get up there, 6:30 to get my kids up.
You want to chit chat with your husband until 2 o'clock in the morning after working with him all day?
It's funny. We work on completely different sides of our business.
Okay.
And we just love to hang out. Like we spend tremendous amount of time together, and I don't know how we're not sick of each other, but sometimes we get sick of each other. But we can go on so many tangents and talk about so many things. So yeah. And it might not be about business. It could be about dreams. We love to talk about our dreams. And that's one of the things that I'm so grateful for. I think the reason why I can stand and do the things I can do today, because it's always like, yay, like for him getting on a podcast would be like, no, thank you. But honey, what do you need from me to support you?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's in a way, a health indication of health in your relationship. Do you feel that contributes to your success?
I think absolutely. I think I'd be really challenged. I think like for me, tech is like not my favorite thing to do. I think finding like, if you're a couple and even if one of you is just in the coaching world, right, or building any business, getting the buy-in and support of your spouse, I think, is critical. I've always been kind of like, we're doing this together. Like, I'm just now kind of getting more comfortable. I could do this on my own. But for me, it was having his buy-in was important. And I don't think our spouses are always on board. I mean, it doesn't mean you shouldn't start, but that's one thing that I've had from my spouse is he always believed in me. And I think it's super important, and it's part of health. And I think one of the beautiful things about coaching, I don't care what kind of coaching you do, is that I think of it as a coach and as those around you, I think of it as like a blossoming. Okay. And, like in the corporate world, we can go all extreme about just, business success, but our family could be in shambles. Our finances could be in shambles, right? We're like, I love that coaching as a world in general is it forces you to level up in all areas of your life. And I think of it as blossoming like a rose. Like if you're just starting and you're just a stem or a bud, there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't blossomed yet. But when you coach, I feel like it really it's an integrated system where as you get better with business, you get better with your health, you get better with your emotions, you get better with your relationships, because coaching does that to you. I mean, you're just getting started, but do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm talking about? Absolutely, yeah.
It's almost like what comes to mind to me is, when you start going to the gym, you're automatically going to watch what you eat because you don't want to waste that effort, right? So
for sure, yeah.
It transfers into that area next, and then maybe you're smoking. You're like, oh crap, can't do that anymore. Stop smoking, stop drinking, whatever that might be. So that's kind of what I think. So yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like coaching brings health into all areas of your life, and this is why I think people should have marriage coaches. They should have money coaches. They should have whatever area of your life you're finding yourself that you have not created a result yet. This is why I love coaching so much versus always going back to the past and trying to fix past. Coaching is all about creating a new future and focusing on an outcome you actually want to create in your life. And and I think when you level up in one area, it tends to, for me and everyone I worked with, it tends to create overflow into other areas.
Yeah.
So
one interesting phrase you used, and I want to point that out to our audience, is that you said you're creating results. So what does that mean? Can you elaborate on that? If a new coach is trying to build their business, how are they to create result?
Okay, love that. Well, the how could be a million different ways, but I think what's really important is really getting connected to authentic you in the future, like taking some time and asking if this were to go my way, your way, right? Because for me, something I've really struggled with, by the way, sorry to take you on a tangent, but getting other definitions of what a successful coaching career is. Buying into your, getting connected to your authentic definition of what success is. And for me, for a season, that meant working 4 hours a day and holding my babies and making meals for my family. Designing my life and picking those types of clients where this would be availability. For me, my clients and my team knows that, hey, I might have a little human run in. He's in school right now, but that is part of my life. I love my children, and for me, family centric was everything. I didn't want to have super compartmentalized type of business, and I built it that way. And I think you can lose focus and really get burnt out unless you know exactly the type of life you want to live in the future. Ask yourself, 2 years from now, if this were going to go great, what would it look like? How would this person look? How would this person feel? What would they be earning? What type of clients would they be working with? And then really connect with that feeling, with that energy. And then ask that person, what did you do to get there?
Yeah.
And listen and take notes. And that sometimes is the best guide.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love it's almost like a visualization exercise. It's tapping into your emotions. It's basically activating all your senses with once you connect with future you. So I love that. I think that's a great way of putting it for our clients. So let's see.
what are you most excited about coaching? Like, that's what I want to ask you. This is so, especially from giving your background. Is that okay? Can I ask you? Like,
absolutely.
I'm sure that was not an easy step. Like, I'm sure that took some soul searching and decision making and like.
What's interesting for me is while coaching is like the second fastest growing industry right now, I was not really familiar with coaching. I've had coaches that now looking back, I'm like, yeah, this person totally coached me through this and this and this and this. But I lost my job, my corporate job in June. And basically I went, and this was the first time in my life where I had some time to look in and do self-discovery. And so I went on that journey. I kind of created certain routines for myself, where I read, meditated, walked, went to the mountain every day, kind of just like cleared my brain and was reconnecting with myself until coaching came up, on Facebook. Out of all places, and I started looking into it.
Good things happen.
Facebook, can't close that account just yet,
I know.
Find my next opportunity. But, and so I was introduced to coaching and I started looking into different programs and I went through a certification program. And once I started my practice coaching to obtain my certification, I realized that first, how much people needed that. And sometimes, and at first everybody's, is kind of presenting themselves kind of like whole and complete, and people are whole and complete. But there's some things that people need help with dealing, some things that people need help with identifying, navigating, and so as I started coaching my clients, I realized the great need. And once my clients started having, as we progressed, my clients started connecting dots in their own lives and started having aha moments and started to make decisions such as, what, I am, from now on, I'm going to choose to forgive. Because I know in the past, I perceived myself as somebody who doesn't forgive people. Well, I'm choosing to forgive now because I see the impact it has on me. And just seeing those realizations, like, it was just so it was so touching, and I want to go forward, and I want to impact as many lives as I can, help people transform and live their best life and help them, like you said, like that flower, like just to blossom, and in one area would lead to all the others.
Okay, so I love several things I want to point out. Like, one of the things you said about, blossoming. So when a flower doesn't bloom, it's not the flower's fault. It's probably the environment that it's in. And maybe there is a disease process going on that a good gardener, right? Mm-hmm. I use a lot of farming analogies in coaching, could actually cultivate and place this beautiful bud in an environment that will make it thrive. And that's my mindset with coaching too, is how this person is awesome because they're worthy because they are. There's no they're perfect the way they are, right? Absolutely. But what's going on in their environment or around them? What is happening in their life that is causing that not to happen, for that bloom not to happen? Yes. And sometimes I think of it as turning the attic on, like the lights on, and let's go take a look together. What is going on there? Yeah. And just dealing with some of the stuff and moving forward so that we can create that result. But also what you kind of mentioned about something that I've noticed, you said, hey, I used to think of myself as a person who can't forgive, but I found that, wow, I can forgive, and how good that felt. And I want to help people create the same breakthrough. One of the things that I notice about coaching clients, because I do a lot of health coaching and then like the mentoring I do in my business, a lot of, and we've talked about this earlier about the identity shift and the identity loss, is we will lock ourselves into this role. I'm just like this. I am, a woman, therefore I can't be great with money or be successful or whatever. Like, we'll put these labels on and then we act as if it's like a fact written on the 10 tablets on stone.
Yes.
And there you go. You just said, I used to think I couldn't forgive, and then now I can because I've shifted and I can see it differently now. I think with coaching, what I love is like we set people free and we give them a chance to recreate themselves all over again in a way that actually supports their future that they want to have, and kind of point the light that all these things you're thinking about yourself, they're not even true. It's like someone said 10 years ago something about you and you've accepted it as fact, or your job gave you the sense of who you are. Like when I stopped being a nurse, that was a huge one. I had to actually give that up to move forward because I identified so much with my identity as a registered nurse. And for you, probably being in the corporate world to going out and going solo, I mean, huge identity shift. But that's, I think a lot of people need help with that, with the identity shift and giving them support to be able to do that successfully. Right?
Yeah, to help them see the future them, the future that the person that they want to be. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and not get so stuck with like labels, like in my family, everybody's overweight. Well, that could be the case, but why can't we create a different result for you?
Absolutely.
Like it's not, you're not destined to certain outcomes. In my family, we're just not good with money. Or in our family, everybody gets divorced, right? Like in my family, no one goes on and has big careers. Like people will accept that and then treat it like a fact. And if you do, then that's what you get. I think a great coach like you, Larissa, could probably go, let's really look at that. Let's really work where did that come from? And then what do you actually want? What would set your heart on fire?
Yeah.
Not like what you identify with now, but like if you could have it your way.
Yes.
And then help them transition and actually build a new identity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Explore their belief systems and challenge those belief systems. Because a lot of times, we create them subconsciously, not recognizing what we're accepting to believe. And this information, like you said, looking at family is one thing, but it could come from television, from radio, from just random sources that are not vetted.
Yes.
And we accept that as facts. Absolutely. So yeah, that's I think that's a big thing that coaching does. It helps you to recognize and uncovers how you derive at these beliefs and help you change them. Yeah.
Right. And I think like no matter where you are in life, like no matter how far you've evolved and grown, there's always like blind spots. Like I think sometimes people think, oh, I need a coach because something's wrong with me. Well, no, a lot of times you need a coach because you need to go to the next place. And I'll just use an example of myself. This is something that I have been really challenged by, and that is notoriety. I do not want to be known. I don't want, I'm like, why do I have such a thing? Like for me, getting out there on social media, getting out there, I'm like, I always wanted to be like the shadow person. My story was I'm there to support my husband, kind of hang out in the back and yell, stick my neck out a little bit, and then just go run hiding behind. And that was like an identity that I had. And I'm like, why is that? And as I started looking and exploring, and I had some people ask questions, and I realized, well, dang, because I come from a communist country and
nobody wants
you're
to
not
be there.
Yeah. Like you don't want to stick out because I have generations in my family who were persecuted and died in work camps because they expressed an opinion. Part of it is like almost like this whisper in my family, like you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be known, don't express your opinion, especially where it could be recorded because they're going to come back and get you.
Yes.
And I'm like, whoa, right? Like
that's crazy.
That's the benefit of having some, like, that's why I'm hiding for so long, right?
Well, even just getting out, exposing you to the world, Lana.
Well, I just think you're so brave that, that you just went straight with it. And I love it so much. But do you know what I mean? Like most people don't know that about the Slavic background, that like everyone I know in my family are like, happiness likes quietness, like stay really hush, don't be visible. Why do you need problems?
Right.
And I get that. I didn't that. I'm like now shifting that. And that's coaching right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
I love just like this coaching thing online right now or between us. I feel like you're coaching me a little bit. I love that. And I hope our audience are listening because this is really, really powerful stuff, that identity shift and creating a future you. So yeah, this is great.
Yeah, so fun. I could talk about this all day long. And one thing that I just want to, can I leave this like parting thought as I'm like here, this is what's occurring to me. And that is, there's so many times we are taught how to do something. Okay. when I started, even in our coaching world, it was a very male type of world with like male type of ways of doing things, really serious things, or really like somebody who's like Google Docs and everything's so professional and scripted and beautiful. And there is a way, and that was just so not me. I really struggled with that until I accepted, actually through coaching. I had a coach I worked with, that you can do it your way. Yeah. And that's what I would say. I do it my way now, which might be unscripted, which might be not always like super professional, as in like professional, like a sales presentation kind of a thing. This is more me. This is me sharing my heart. My life has never been just this business box, and then there's this marriage box and parenting box. It's like all of it together, because that's who I am. And it's playful and fun and light. And I can be really intense, but also like, if it doesn't feel fun and playful, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage everybody, going into this industry, trust your gut, do it around what matters most to you, do it your way, and you're going to attract people just like that.
Yeah. I have one more question for you. And that is, if somebody is a new coach and they're trying to build that self-confidence, they're putting themselves out there, what can they do to help themselves? If they don't have a partner like you, for example, that believes in them, if they don't have a support team just yet, what can they do?
That is so good. That's a great question. I would say confidence is byproduct of action. Like, you're not going to feel confidence right away. I would say, dude, scared. Like, I'm a little scared right now. I was a little scared this morning. I went for a jog. Which is funny. I'm like, why am I
awesome.
scared?
I love that.
Why am I scared? But like, I'm a scaredy cat a lot of times until I have to work through it and deal with it. So do it scared. Do it without confidence. Borrow someone else's confidence. And if it's your spouse is maybe not on board or doesn't get what you're doing, for me, I go look for other people, go find other coaches, get plugged into communities where people will support you. And I think community is really, really important. So get around people there are people out there, and do it scared and do it not confident. Yeah. Do it like, so something, I don't remember who said this quote, but it really stuck with me. And it says, something worth doing is worth doing badly until you can do it well. And that's always been my motto. Like, if I don't stick my neck out, if I don't open my mouth, if I don't share, do they still have the possibility of changing their world?
Yeah.
No. If I open my mouth and do it badly, is there a slight possibility that maybe they'll hear something in my heart that will connect with them? And there's a chance for transformation. And if it's a yes, then I should go with it. So if you truly believe in what you have to offer the world, and I think everyone has something unique, everyone has gifts and capabilities they can offer the world, is go do it terribly until you can learn how to do it well. I mean, it's not like our goal is to do it terribly, right? But sometimes you just have to. Like when I was learning how to put IVs in, I can only see my mentor, my preceptor put 2-3 IVs. And then it's like, you're getting in there and you're doing it, and you might blow somebody's vein and they might be unhappy, but that is the only way you're going to get good at this.
Absolutely.
And have a mentor, get a coach who supports you, just like same thing with nursing. I get on a lot of explore calls with my teammates just to pop in, and I'll let them do it badly. And sometimes I gotta go like, let's just steer in this direction. Find a mentor, find a mentor. I think mentorship is really important because that's the shortcut, right? But like, even when I was putting those IVs in and my preceptor's looking at me and they're like, sometimes they just put their hand over me and be like, we're going in. I'm not going to let you blow that one. Have people around you, find people, they're out there. But I think the only way you can find them is if you authentically go open your mouth and say, this is what I'm building. This is what I want to create. This is how I want to serve the world. Put yourself out there. Don't be like the secret under the bed hiding, like that no one knows about.
That's great advice. And the book that comes to mind that explores this concept deeply is Failing Forward by John Maxwell. But yeah, you pretty much covered many, many steps that he outlines in his books. So that was so perfect.
Wow, I never read it. I'm like,
yeah. Failing forward.
Yeah.
Failing forward. And I definitely love that visualization of putting a needle, because really, when you think about it, that's the only way to learn, is to do it over and over and over again, So that's, I think that's perfect. I think that's a perfect visualization to leave our audience with. So, Lana, if people wanted to get in touch with you, how could they connect with you?
Sure. So just follow me on Instagram at Lana Batish, Batish, or just follow me on Facebook, Lana Batishev. There's not that many of those. Lana and Batishev, Batishev. And I'd love to connect with you. And if anything spoke to you, share with me. I'd love to know, because sometimes, there's so many voices, so many things out there. Let Larissa and I know that something touched you or spoke to you or inspired you. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. I've created a Facebook group specifically for this podcast. So if you have any questions, or if you want to connect with guests on the show, or with me, or with other audience, you can join that Facebook group. So it's Diaries of a Life Coach. But I just want to thank you so much for being here today. And it was such a pleasure speaking with you and to tap into your knowledge and experience and your outlook. I think we kind of all got coached a little bit in the process, which is amazing. And I hope that we can do this again soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It was so much fun.
Have any questions about today's episode? Just head over to my website, larissadalton.com/contact-info, and send in your request, or simply email me at larissadalton10@gmail.com. You can find my podcasts wherever podcasts are found. If you would like me to cover a specific topic, also submit that request via website or my email. Connect with me on Instagram at Larissa_Dalton, or book a complimentary session with me at larissadalton.com/coaching. Thank you again for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.